Hi, I'm Hanting Li from MA Illustration. The discourse that I'm engaging with is decolonization. This report will analyze how illustration serves as a tool for decolonization by addressing complex culture and historical issues, and how creators can foster broader social and cultural dialogues. It will also include my personal reflection on how decolonization influenced my artistic practice. Let's start with the first module about research and analysis. Decolonization art manifests in various forms in the art world, starting from the illustration as a powerful form of visual art offers a unique pathway for expressing and discussing decolonization at its 3 points. My initial analysis began with the class workshop. Through this method, I extended some new perspective on researching decolonization, and applying these methodologies deepened my understanding of the subject. In my reader study, I focus on the role of storytelling in illustration, especially for conveying decolonization themes. I recognize that different storytelling methods can alter a story's impact. Effective narrative delivery should keep the audience engaged and convey the intent message. Regarding the excerpts from these 2 books, they inspire me in 3 ways. Re-evaluating my research method and theological framework to better understanding art across cultures and time. Expanding my research to grasp art's diversity and complexity, and reflecting on the influence of colonial mindsets in my studies. These insights have been pivotal in shaping my approach to illustration and understanding its border. I categorize decolonization themes works using a 4-fold framework. From a business perspective, replicating indigenous artworks has taught me that this process requires community consent and respect for traditional ownership. It also necessitates a focus on local people's interest and understanding of their cultural models. In responsible design, cultural sensitivity and social impact are paramount. Experimental design allows me to explore unconventional art methods challenging social norms. Discursive design critically analyzes narratives to initiate decolonization discussion, much like the artist mentioned, in order to contribute to the conversation and raise awareness of injustice. In summary, these categories has provided me with a comprehensive understanding of how to integrate these principles into my work, enabling me to create impactful, culturally aware decolonization art. In the experimental and practice module, I choose to explore artist interviews and exhibitions I attend. Through these activities, I learned and understood the work and ideas of others, laying the groundwork for incorporating this understanding into my own creative practice. These works of miniature, including a wide range of Chinese traditional symbols. This series of illustrations was created by her to support overseas Chinese communities. Reflecting her interview in New York, I have realized the dominance of the Western post-colonial discourse in art and its challenge of true decolonization. It underscores the importance of embracing our cultural heritage in artistic expression, using art for cultural preservation and communication. And more important is art can build bridges between cultures and create a podium for the recognition and comprehension of diverse voices. Haridano, as an Indonesian artist, his works cover traditional Indonesia shadow puppet theater and contemporary cartoons and art. In the interview, the mandala system he has provided that emerges of colonialism stem from the concept and distance between subject and object. I think the interview has emphasized that Western countries under the dominance of culture and artistic power has created the concepts of subject and object and the distance between them. Our connection with society is inseparable, and in non-Western cultures, there exists a humanistic sense of connection rather than the segmentation or hierarchy of the humanities. In my artistic practice, I should pay attention and break free from this conceptual framework, preserving the unique artistic expression styles of ethnicity, establish more inclusive and equal cultural relationships between Western and non-Western art. I was particularly impressed by the work named Notes Towards a Modern Opera. William Kentridge divides into China's exploration of post-colonialism during Mao's Cultural Revolution and compare the political and social changes experienced by 2 countries. The artworks combines various art forms such as painting, animation, music, and Peking opera performance. It's a very iconic, experimental, and discursive artwork. Decolonization art should not only depend on the surface for aesthetic, but in the determination of the piece, it is crucial to ponder on how it can increase awareness of cultural identity issues and connect with the public. Furthermore, creating artworks inspires me to meticulously curate the content and format of materials, authenticate my sources, and try to use various media to professionally communicate my work to the intended audience. When I visited the photography exhibition from Tate Modern, I was struck by Edison Shanga's Table Past. The photos, named by Europe Africans, highlight the cultural and misrepresentation of African tradition. Similarly, which brings me to this artistic performance art, reenacting an Aztec ritual speaks to cultural repression. Both works underscore the ongoing struggle for cultural autonomy and identity in post-colonial contexts, reminding us of the complexity of decolonization in the art world. In this module, I was inspired by the class to hear the voices of my classmates from different countries, and under the topic of discussing the country's historical heritage, visiting the China's Hidden Century exhibition at the British Museum, however, was really underwhelming. The displays of pivotal artifacts like those from the Treaty of Nanjing lacked impact and clarity, and the interpretation of this historical event in the exhibition did not emphasize its gravity, rather the information appeared blurred. It got me thinking about the key points that what exhibition organizers need to have in place. Similarly, at the Mexican Pavilion, the translation of Aztec symbols to English felt detached from the original linguistic context. Like the concept of subject and object discussed in Discover 2.0 are implicated in the above. For me, I think any traditional art has its rationale involving the historical development and humanities of a nation. In the relationship between Western and non-Western art, a more inclusive and equal cultural relationship should be established rather than overshadowing it. And here, this is my small attempt. I create an Aztec-style symbols of a tiger by using the monoprint. Talking about decolonization of museum, Wendy restarts Our Side series inspired by the crowd people's self-identification. Red Star's works challenges the static displays of objects in museums, advocating for decolonization by encouraging dynamic engagement with cultural heritage. And for me, this approach has inspired me to rethink the relationship between art, culture, and history, exploring ways to revitalize cultural objects and provide new experience for audience guarding my decolonizing designs in museum. The Decolonizing Early Childhood Discourse project explores transformative theories in post-colonial education. It emphasizes the role of ethnic children's publication of decolonization, enlightening young readers about diverse cultures. As an illustration student, this project motivates me to produce inclusive educational art. However, creating decolonization themes children's art poses challenges in narrative effectiveness and cultural representation. These factors significantly influence my approach to responsible design, guiding my ongoing reflection and artistic development. So go through these two modules that I researched. I have been inspired by the artist's use of color and storytelling. For children's book illustrations, it is crucial to convey clear educational message. So in last year's GDCP Culture and Identity course, I created a zine about the Aztec god coming to life, exploring its journey from the British Museum back to its origins. So for my work aims to educate young audience on decolonization using vibrant colors and engaging narratives. I choose to position my illustration work as responsible design and choose to place its theme in the museum. Why makes me think about that is because during my visit to the British Museum, I can see many children bring by their parents exploring the exhibition of different cultures. As an adult, I received an exhibition guide that provided me with introduction to the exhibits and historical information. However, I discovered that young audience may not fully comprehend the significance of exhibits, promoting me to create illustration to add in their understanding of decolonization or provide an inspiration. I present the story in a child-friendly manner to help young readers quickly grasp it and develop empathy and understanding for other cultures. Overall, I think it's just the first step for me to discover the decolonization. This is not just for children, but also actively participates in educating and raising represent for cultural heritage. I think this work created last year lacks some precision about local symbols. It encompasses the effective transmission and reception of these narratives, making sure that the audience not only sees but also deeply understands the artist's message. This is my entire presentation. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, please ask me.